From the widest hips ever to be flaunted to the highest hairdos ever to exist, the 1700s were the most extravagant period in fashion history. So how about putting together a modern outfit inspired by this fascinating fashion era? To do that, we'll look at fabric, color, and structure. And we'll finish off by adding a few accessories. But before we begin, just a quick note. As we are talking about an entire century, a few slightly different silhouettes were fashionable during this long period of time. In this video, I will focus on the elements they all share. Now let's jump into the video, starting with the fabric. Depending on the occasion, the wealth and the status of the lady who wore it, the fabric of the dress could vary from plain cotton to the finest silk. Whatever your choice, one thing to remember is that these dresses were made from natural fibers. Now let's talk about colors. As Baroque period made way to Rococo style, the deep, vivid, luxurious colors evolved into pastels. Very soft hues like champagne tones, pinks, lilacs, blues and greens became fashionable. The typical 18th century dress was heavily decorated and would also have very intricate embroideries or prints of the natural world. These included all sorts of flowers, plants, insects, and animals. Another fashionable pattern of the era were stripes. When they couldn't decide which one to wear, they simply mixed them up together. And finally, the overall structure of the dress. The neckline was low and usually square, with a few variations in its shape. Sleeves were almost always elbow length and fitted to the arm. They usually ended up with frills, lace, and ribbons and were shorter in the front and longer in the back. For the torso, stays, a precursor of the corset, would have been used. The emphasis was on the small waist in contrast with the wide hips fashionable at the time. The wide hips were the fault of the pannier or bum roll, but even if you manage to find one of those today, that looks like too much for any decade standard, so skip it. These garments were constructed as an ensemble, so usually the top would match the skirt and the petticoat and even the shoes. At this point, you have a few options. If you wish to stay as close to the original look as possible, put on a dress, preferably longer. Or you can opt for separates. For example, a top embroidered or printed with vegetal elements paired with jeans, trousers, skirts, and even shorts. And last but not least, add accessories. The representative accessory of the era resembled what we would call today a choker. It could be anything from silk bows to lace, velvet, feathers, and pearls. Another chic and practical little detail were fake beauty marks made of paper or velvet and shaped in different forms. For the hair, you can get inspired by the three main hairstyles of the era: the modest tête de mouton, or the extravagant poof that later evolved into a more rounded style. And of course, hair was powdered in matching pastels. The most common in the era were gray, lilac, and even pink. You can top everything off with a bergère hat, and you're good to go. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, roll in style.